This week won't let you stay the same. Nothing will be the same. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Great to have you all back. I hope you're all doing well. This is the week to the buildup of the big full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. We are in the middle of fate's crosshairs. There's definitely changes happening, and this is a very interesting week. I'm going to touch base on the highlights of the week. Of course, if you're new to the channel, I'll touch base on the highlights of the week, and then I'll go into the individual days and break it down further in the chart. But yeah, this is a big week. We're leading up to this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, and nothing's staying the same. Everything is changing. Things have been changing. Eclipses always bring change regardless anyways. It's very fated. Some things you have control over, some things you don't have control over. But I would say with this lunar eclipse, although it's not trining Jupiter exactly, Jupiter is trining the North Node though exactly with this lunar eclipse in the build up this whole week to this lunar eclipse. And I would say this lunar eclipse, the biggest thing to take into consideration is keeping the bigger spiritual picture in mind. It could feel you're anchored to the past with the sun being in the south node of Virgo. But this lunar eclipse is here to remind you, I see it as a spiritual awakening, a deeper awakening. Even if you've already had your spiritual awakening, there's a deeper awakening happening here. You don't just wake up, you continuously wake up. You become more conscious, and that's what Pisces is. It's about deepening your consciousness. That's why it rules spirituality. It's about deepening your awareness, deepening your consciousness, deepening your knowledge, your knowing, your understanding. And so with this lunar eclipse, this is a bigger spiritual picture that's unfolding that could be teaching us a very powerful lesson. If you think about it, Jupiter does rule wisdom. It does rule lessons. Saturn and Jupiter both rule lessons. But Jupiter is the planet that also deals with faith, and it deals with trust, it deals with optimism, seeing the bigger picture. And so Jupiter being here in the midst is reminding us of the bigger spiritual picture and to put our faith in the future, although we feel anchored in the past, with the sun being in the south node. I see this lunar eclipse as illusions being shattered, illusions dissolving, but in the dissolution, deeper truths are emerging. So this is a very powerful lunar eclipse, in my opinion. I think it's a positive one. There are some things here to pay attention to, I would say, this week, specifically with Mars square Jupiter. That's happening pretty much all week. Mercury square Uranus is happening. We'll talk about that here. Jupiter's going to trine the North Node. Mercury does come into Virgo this week. Uranus goes retrograde. And then we have the lunar eclipse in Pisces. And this lunar eclipse is very interesting to me. I mean, Saturn just came back into Pisces. Saturn is going to be here in Pisces. It's going to retrograde back to 25 degrees of Pisces. The last time Saturn was at 25 degrees of Pisces was in December. So this is going to be reviewing everything that has happened from December until now, right? Reviewing all that stuff. And what is Saturn in Pisces? Saturn in Pisces is here to, you can say, teach us deeper spiritual lessons. But if we just take Pisces at its core, what Pisces is the deepening of knowledge, the deepening of awareness. That there's always more and more to learn. There's always more and more to be aware of. So it's this continuous search of awareness. That's why when you start waking up spiritually, you gain all this awareness. You have your conscious awakening, right? Your awareness awakening. But with Saturn being here, Saturn is a planet that does deal with lessons. It deals with restrictions, limitations. It deals with responsibility, accountability. It deals with the work that's required for us to be able to unlock those deeper states of consciousness, those deeper states of awareness. to be able to understand the deeper spiritual lessons of things. Also, Pisces does teach the lesson of being able to yield and let go and trust the bigger divine picture of things and lean more into your intuitive side, your idealistic side. And I think that's the lesson here with this Pisces eclipse. Because the South Node, Virgo deals with the physical reality of things. It's things that you can taste, touch, see, and feel. And Pisces is the unseen. You know, a lot of the times, a lot of people don't believe in the unseen. They don't think it's real, but everything was created from the unseen. So the unseen is just as real. And so with this aspect to Jupiter that's in the mix here, with it being in Cancer, this is about expanding into things that feel spiritually aligned and right, and gaining the deeper sense of awareness and seeing the bigger picture emotionally when it comes to things that are going to offer you the Cancerian energy of comfort, of safety, positive things with family, positive things with your home life, positive things with emotional maturity. Right? Cancer teaches a lesson of emotional maturity. And so being able to see the bigger picture here, we're waking up. Could be illusions being dissolved, but in the dissolution, newer truths are emerging. And it's through that conscious awareness and understanding that, okay, we can tune into that and adjust to that and trust in the bigger, larger picture of where the future is being presented. Because remember, that sun being in the South Node, we're anchored sort of in the past. Sun in Virgo, we're figuring out better ways to do things. Virgo deals with how we use our intellect in a practical way. So that's why Virgo deals with task, organization, management, the details. It deals with precision. And so we're learning how to let go of the old ways and how to find better ways. So even with the sun being in South Node, Mercury's going to come into Virgo. It'll be with that South Node as well. You know, I think we're learning how to adjust, you know, break free from the old reality, break free from the old routines, break free from the conveyor belt of life that you've been on. There's better ways to do things. That is what I get with this energy. And with this Mercury coming into Virgo this week, Mercury's at home in Virgo, so this is really going to help us dial in here and use our intellect in a more precise way to be able to understand things, to be able to adjust things, to be able to manage things here. But, you know, we have to understand though, it's like we can't get too caught up in having to be perfectionistic, being overly critical on the details, you know, being nitpicky, critical, losing faith because you can't see the bigger picture, right? Because we can only see technically the physical reality. So whenever we feel like things aren't going to happen, like, oh, I don't know if that future thing can happen with the North Node being in Pisces. I don't know if it can happen because I don't see it right now in my reality. It's like you can lose trust, faith, and optimism and lose sight of the bigger picture here. I always say Virgo is going to work on the assignment while yielding and having faith of what that assignment is going to produce, but not losing faith along the way, because right now the details of things, of what you're seeing in your reality, if it's not happening immediately. So that North Node in Pisces is teaching us to stay in alignment with your spiritual vision, connect to your higher ideal spiritually, allow yourself to be more idealistic, allow yourself to be more imaginative. Right, and Pisces teaches a lesson of faith and yielding and trusting in the unseen. But that's the hardest thing to do sometimes, specifically when you have the sun transiting the South Node in Virgo. But I think this lunar eclipse is really awakening some things and showing us that things are changing, because things are changing, and that there's a bigger picture and a bigger order here that's unfolding, and putting our trust and faith in that, and trusting that everything is working out for our highest good, specifically with that Jupiter trine to the nodes. I know I kind of just went a little bit deep. I can go deeper. But yeah, so we're going to jump into the transits. And just a quick highlight of the week. Again, Mercury comes into Virgo. Mercury's going to square Uranus, Jupiter trine the nodes, Mars square Jupiter, Uranus retrograde, and then the lunar eclipse in Pisces. So let's go ahead and switch over to the charts here. All right, so here we have it. September 2nd. Not much is going on this day. Mercury's going to come into Virgo. So it's left Leo. Now it's in Virgo. Virgo, now our mind's going to be really operating, our intellect's really going to be operating in a more practical way, really looking at the details of things, being able to understand the details of things more, being able to make better adjustments. And this Mercury in Virgo is pretty powerful because it's at home. Specifically on this day, it's like Mercury is the most powerful planet this day. And it's interesting that because Mercury is starting to square Uranus this day, but it's not yet happening, it's a degree away, but it could already start to shock that Uranus energy. So there could be shocks, disruptions when it comes to new information, things in regards to communication, and just new developments that unfold in a rapid way or an unexpected way or in a disruptive way. And so you can't really predict any type of square to Uranus. It's expect the unexpected, but whatever happens, you just have to adjust it. You have to adjust to it. Uranus and Gemini deals with information, communication, ideas, and so this can bring sudden revelations of things unexpected. That okay, you got the new information from Uranus and Gemini. Okay, how do I practically adjust here with this Mercury being here in Virgo? So it's going to be disruptive. It's like as soon as Mercury comes into Virgo, it's like a shock. Okay. It could be kind of annoying. You ever been in a car and you listen to the radio? You tuned into the station and you're listening to it. I know nobody listens to the radio anymore. At least I don't. But then another channel comes through and it kind of fucks up the song. Or some like other station comes through. You're like, what the fuck? Or static comes through. That's sort of what a Mercury square Uranus is. It's unexpected. It sort of disrupts things. It can be quite annoying or you just weren't expecting it. But it's just like, okay, you just tune back into your channel, make the adjustments here, and things will be all right. And this day, like I said, nothing much is happening. This moon in Capricorn is going to trine that sun in Virgo. So moon in Capricorn, the emphasis is on work, right? Capricorn deals with work, responsibility, structure. You could say discipline as well. Capricorn is a sign that deals with being critically tenacious when it comes to working long and hard on your goals to achieve what you're trying to achieve, right? So that's why Capricorn is connected to work and structure and discipline and all that. And the moon doesn't like being in Capricorn. It's in detriment in Capricorn because the moon's soft. It would rather be in Cancer, right? The moon's more soft. Capricorn's very harsh. And so there's always a heaviness that comes with the moon being in Capricorn of a seriousness. Like, I need to be serious. I need to be disciplined. I need to work. And that's ultimately how you feel better with the moon in Capricorn. But I like that this moon in Capricorn is trining the sun in Virgo, because when the sun and the moon come together in a trine, it's a harmonious aspect. And so it's like your soul and your emotions are getting on the same page, and you're just finding this harmonious rhythm when it comes to work and when it comes to like adjustments with with the sun in Virgo, or when it comes to task or duty or just responsibilities. So that's really all that's happening this day until we go to the 3rd. So let's go to the 3rd on Wednesday. Now this day is when Mercury will be squaring Uranus exact. So again, expect disruptions, unexpected information, communication. This could also be you too, possibly feeling restless. Uranus is a planet that wants to break the threshold with things. It wants new experiences. It wants stimulation. It wants excitement. And so you could possibly feel restless this day, but it's about controlling that nervous, sort of neurotic energy. It's like, okay, you want to break free from the conventional ways of doing things, but let's be smart about it. Let's not be too chaotic, right? So you could feel that. But then also too, like external things could be things that do seem chaotic at first, but you can adjust to it. That Mercury being here in Virgo is powerful. So it's like Mercury's at home here. It's like you can handle whatever it is. All right, this day, like I said, we have Jupiter now starting to really square this Mars. It'll be happening too on the 2nd too, so just pay attention to that. But what is this Mars square Jupiter? Because I want to touch base on this first. Now, this will be exact actually on Thursday. But again, we're going to have Mercury square Uranus this day. And there goes Jupiter that's starting to trine the nodes. So I want to touch base on this first. That this Jupiter in Cancer, right now we're all learning how to grow into being more emotionally mature, how to find ways to better support ourselves emotionally, find comfort. There's, positive things in regards to family, home, your personal life, your inner world, your emotional state. Cancer deals with security, comfort, safety, nourishment. Like, how do we nourish ourselves better, right? How do we create inner strength first in our life? And that also connects to how do we strengthen our family bonds? How do we strengthen our home life? How do we strengthen our family relationships? How do we strengthen the relationship to ourselves in regards to how we nurture ourselves? How do we emotionally mature and evolve at this time? And with this Jupiter trining the nodes here, the North Node, again, the North Node deals with the future, right? So for the ones you don't know what the nodes are, the South Node deals with the past, North Node deals with the future. And they're the axis of fate and destiny. Right now, we're in a fated, destined period of the South Node being in Virgo and the North Node being in Pisces. And the North Node is all about creating and establishing a better future for yourself. And with it being in Pisces, it's about a future that's more in alignment with your spiritual ideals, with your highest spiritual timeline. It's also allowing yourself to be more imaginative, to be more idealistic, and to have faith that beautiful things and magical things can happen when you work toward that dream. But sometimes we get so caught up with the South Node being in Virgo of, no, this is like my routine. This is what I think is realistic. It's like you get too caught up in the details. You get too caught up on what's real and what's reality. This is sort of like the nodes of a person who has worked a corporate job their whole life and they fucking hate it, but they feel like it's the only realistic thing. And so they never go for that North Node Pisces thing. They never go for the bigger spiritual dream that they have, the bigger ideal reality that they would actually want, because they are caught in the illusion of the South Node being in Virgo of, I don't think it's realistic. Or this could also be self-sabotage too. It's like being too perfectionistic and not trusting that magic can happen. Like I said, the South Node is about going to work on the assignment. Virgo's the assignment. Here's the assignment. Here's the checklist. Right? Here's what we got to do, the practical steps. It's like going to work on the assignment. But with that North Node in Pisces, it's about, okay, I'm going to work on this assignment, and I'm going to trust that the assignment that I'm working on is going to create and manifest this bigger spiritual thing that I want, this ideal that I'm working toward, this dream that I'm working toward, to the future that I'm envisioning for myself. But that can be hard because when you get so caught up in the reality, and when you're not seeing it immediately, it's like you can lose faith, you can lose hope. And Pisces teaches a lot about faith and hope. I hope this mic ain't going too crazy. So where was I going with that? But this Jupiter trine the nodes here, this is about expanding into finding the positivity and the optimism of, okay, of the ideal future that you're working toward. But with that sun being in the South Node in Virgo, South Node is like we feel we're anchored to the past and we're dealing with old stuff, or we can feel stuck or just anchored to the past. We can be getting too caught up in being perfectionistic or being too practical, or just feeling like that reality is not going to happen. It's like it's going to happen, but with this sun being in the South Node of Virgo, it's like we got to clean things up. We got to find better ways and how we can do things. We got to break free from the old reality, improve our current reality. And it's a constant adjustment with this sun being in the South Node of Virgo as we go through this Virgo season. But this is the prep. I said this in last week's video. This is the prep. It's like getting everything ready and clearing things out. Also, too, though, the sun transit the south node, it's like there can be some things that you rediscover from the past, or something maybe you forgot about in the past that you rediscover. And maybe there is a bigger spiritual reason for it with this Jupiter trining the north node. Because Jupiter is also sextile the south node. Right. So, but the one thing here is like this Mars square Jupiter in Cancer. This is not about being forceful or being not being too extreme. Like Mars wants what it wants. It deals with how we pursue our desires, right? It deals with initiative, courage, drive. And Libra is about balance, harmony. It's about moving with diplomacy and tact and understanding how your actions have consequences. Understanding how, because Libra wants to stay in the equilibrium. Mars is disruptive. That's why Mars doesn't do well in Libra. It's not weak in Libra, but it's just not where it wants to be. So this Mars in Libra, like how do we move forward when it comes to our actions, moving forward with diplomacy and tact and keeping things in that harmonious in that equilibrium. Because Libra's very sensitive to the equality, so it likes things to be equal. So whenever there's an imbalance, Libra likes to correct it. And so this square to Jupiter in Cancer, this can bring heightened emotions, right? Because you want what it is that you want emotionally with this Jupiter being in Cancer. Now this could bring, I'm gonna be real with y'all, this can bring like family conflicts or just conflicts with others about what's fair and what's not fair. And so you have to just work those things out. Like Mars in Libra, be tactful. Move forward with diplomacy and try to find, maybe it's going to be imbalanced with the Mars square Jupiter. It is going to be off, but things can be corrected. But I'll be real though, this Mars being here, Mars does deal with our ego. And so this can be an inflation of the ego, maybe people being demanding of you, or you could be demanding of other people. And so it's about finding the balance of what emotionally brings the scales into balance with things. So this can bring up conflicts. This also brings up an energy of trying to force things, or a heightened sense of aggression, or just energy in general, because Mars rules energy. And so it's about how do you channel this constructively? How do you work with this energy constructively while keeping in mind that actions do have consequences? Right? And actions and consequences could be good and bad, right? There's good consequences, there's bad consequences. So it's about understanding those things. Like I said, the Libra is the justice card in tarot. So it's the cosmic scales of balance, and actions have ripple effects, right? And the universe will maintain order. So if things get out of order, it's going to bring things back in order. And this is an interesting day too, because this moon in Capricorn is going to square Mars, and this moon is also going to oppose Jupiter at the same time. So there's this T-square happening here with Mars, Jupiter, and the moon. Now, and so everything is really riding on this Mars. If you think about a T-square, it's like a seesaw, right? This is the bottom of the seesaw, and this is the plank, right? So it's like your actions this day are everything. How you manage your behavior here this day is everything. How you take action on things is everything, right? Because this moon that's going to be here in Capricorn square Mars, this can bring frustration. This moon in Capricorn can be very strict when it comes to a square. It can be controlling, it can be strict, it can be too rigid. And so it's about finding a way to bring balance in, specifically with this moon opposed Jupiter. Jupiter in Cancer. How can we nurture things better in our lives? How can we bring in a more emotional care? How can we bring in more peace and harmony? It's not going to be easy though with this T-square. It's going to bring up conflicts. It's going to bring up stress, challenge. But how you go about taking action, how you go about it is everything. So the way this could manifest in a scenario, Capricorn would be like work, Cancer would be like the family, and Mars and Libra is there needs to be balance. Like you work too much or you're home too much. Like it could be Like that could be a situation, right? So, because this moon here opposing Jupiter in Cancer, it's like we need to learn how to bring in better ways of nurturing, taking care of things, more emotional care, more compassion, more empathy, while we're doing our work, Moon in Capricorn, and how we're also managing, you can say, our relationships as well with this Mars being in Libra. So you have to be the warrior of balance this day. This moon is also going to sextile the North Node, so we're getting a better feel of the future here that we're being guided toward. So, yeah, I mean, I like that. This is all happening at the same time. This moon square Mars, moon opposed Jupiter, and then this moon that's going to be sextiling North Node. So you have to be flexible and adaptable, but also, actually doing what needs to be done. All right, let's go to the next day here, September 4th. But that Mercury square Uranus, that's going to be an interesting one. You know how the moon transits to Uranus, the squares to Uranus and Gemini, you know how they've manifested for me multiple times. I'll be somewhere quiet and then a bunch of like loud people will come by, or I'll be doing something and then I just hear like a bunch of noise. So or I'm trying to focus on something and there's like distraction. So with a Mercury square to that Uranus, probably be some distractions, some disruptions, and some unexpected things. Y'all come back and let me know, please, because I know my shit. All right, so September 5th. Let's go to September 5th here. Uranus is going retrograde this day. And so Uranus direct is looking for that next big breakthrough. Uranus in humanistic astrology deals with the spontaneous urge to go beyond what you've done before, to leap into new experiences. And with it being in Gemini, it's about ideas, conversations, your curiosity, things that feel invigorating, stimulating. But now since it's going retrograde, it gets more so turned inward to where we are reviewing more when it comes to what is the next big breakthrough? Like, what are the new ideas? Or, what is the truth? What, possibly too, it can be like, what conversations do I need to have? What things do I kind of want to break free from at this time that maybe I'm attached to? But I think this really ties into this eclipse energy and just the mutable energy in general, with the sun being in Virgo, North Node being in Pisces, Saturn that just came back into Pisces. Because this lunar eclipse is about the dissolution of illusions and new truths emerging. And Gemini does rule facts and information and truth. And so with Uranus going retrograde, there's a sudden new angle, or there's a sudden new way, or sudden new information, or sudden understanding of things, or a difference, or a change. And so it's those deeper truths I feel starting to emerge, specifically when we come into this moon being in Aquarius. So let's actually go to this day. I didn't even touch on this day. Let me touch on this day. Wait a sec. Where are we at right now? Okay, wait. So we got September. I am so confused. All right, let's go to it. So September 3rd here. This day we'll have the moon sextile Saturn, moon enter Aquarius, moon sextile Neptune, moon trine Uranus, moon conjunct Pluto, Mars square Jupiter. That's my dog. He's like trying to sleep. I think I'm pissing him off because I'm working. So yeah, this is an interesting, I like this day. I really do like this day. This moon will be in Capricorn here. For the last bit of the day, it's going to sextile. The moon's in Aquarius right now, as you can see it down here, but it's going to be in Capricorn for a little bit. It's going to sextile Saturn in Pisces. The moon deals with rhythm, our emotional rhythm, and with it being in Capricorn, it's emotional rhythm in regards to work and structure and I was going to say accountability, but responsibility. And then Saturn is a planet that deals with structure and endurance. So whenever the moon sextiles Saturn, there's this consistent rhythm that endures, so it can bring focus and concentration. It's just this consistent positive rhythm, this endurance of a rhythm. So when it comes to work, specifically with Saturn being here, the sextile to Saturn in Pisces, it's like we can find that flow state. We can start to find maybe even a deeper state of creativity or just focus, right? A positive rhythm when it comes to being able to work and lock in or to get things done. We haven't seen the moon here in Capricorn sextile Saturn in Pisces since the last time Saturn was in Pisces. So that's very interesting. But this moon will come into Aquarius. When it comes into Aquarius, it's going to conjunct Pluto, as you can see, sextile Neptune, trine Uranus. Talk about an emotional breakthrough of a day. Talk about, like what I was saying, like deeper information or deeper revelations happening this day with the moon conjunct Pluto, because Pluto wants to dig things up and go deep and sort of discover what's hidden. And with the moon on top of it, this can be you having an emotional breakthrough or getting a deeper emotional understanding with things. Also, moon on Pluto can be very intense. You can get this, you can become obsessive or very just like locked in emotionally on something. And I would say with this sextile to Neptune and this trine to Uranus, this is really about reorienting here. This is really about reorienting emotionally. This moon that's going to be on top of Pluto sextile Neptune, Neptune is, when the moon sextiles it, you emotionally start to type into a higher universal ideal. That's why Neptune deals with your imagination and it deals with fantasies and, ideals. And Aries can be your own ego's ambitions. It can be self-determination, drive, passion. But since it's retrograde, this is really about like this deeper emotional understanding of where within inside of ourselves we can sort of let old things dissolve and see more clearly how we can reorient more properly towards something that's in alignment with our higher selves. I think Neptune in Aries is the definition of your higher self, because Aries deals with the self and Neptune is the higher spiritual awareness. So it's this higher spiritual self. I also think it's going to be a kind of a social day. All this is really happening early in the morning, depending on where you live. I live in Texas. It's Central Time. So this moon sextile Saturn that's coming into Aries, making these aspects, it's from about 5 a.m. to about 9 a.m. Central Time. So most people will be asleep. Most people won't. But this is also the day we're having Mars square Jupiter exact. So this is going to be very interesting. I think this is going to bring up a lot in regards to, let me just back up for a second. This moon that's going to trine Uranus here, this can be emotional breakthroughs, a deeper understanding of things, revelations, and finding new exciting ways to do things. It could be exciting conversations, connections when it comes to our social life, social circle, communities, groups, and sort of a new higher ideal that's unfolding as well with this Uranus being with this Neptune being in Gemini, or being in Aries. But I think it's going to be an interesting day because of this moon being in Aquarius. Mars in Libra and Aquarius energy here does deal with people. It deals with relationships, the collective, groups, communities. But this Mars square to Jupiter that's still going on, this could bring, it could bring conflict, like I said, with Mars square Jupiter. But again, I think this is about being able to work with other people and not be selfish emotionally. So I'm not saying that's y'all, right? I'm not saying y'all are being selfish emotionally. It could be other people, though. That's something that's coming through channeled here. But I've already touched base on this Mars square Jupiter, but it's exact this day. So, it's really, you're really starting to feel this. So yeah, I like this day though. Sometimes I do like Mars square Jupiter transits because it does give you that extra optimism and positivity to take action on things or give you the motivation. But it's when you can just over fucking do it, right? So just be aware of that here. Yeah. All right, let's go to the 5th here, y'all. The 5th. Here we go. We have what's going on this day. Uranus turns retrograde this day. But we'll have this moon oppose Venus. Then we'll have this moon that's going to trine Mars. So this moon oppose Venus. Aquarius deals with groups, the collective. It's an energy of service. Very group-oriented, collective-oriented. When it opposes Venus and Leo, Venus and Leo is about your own happiness and your needs when it comes to your own personal self, what makes you feel happy, the way you create, the way you receive, what you enjoy. And so there's going to be this emotional need of, having to figure out how you can receive or create in the way that makes you happy, how you like it. So this could bring up an opposition energy or a confrontation when it comes to the larger collective of things, but also like your personal needs. This moon that's going to trine Mars and Libra, I like that. Every time the moon trines Mars, it brings your emotions just get on the same page as your will and your drive. And you feel that emotional push behind your actions. You find the emotional motivation, the intrinsic motivation. And so this can be a very social energy as well. But I would say this is about, with that moon being in Aquarius, it's about finding new ways to do things and, taking action on those things, having the emotional motivation behind you to do those things. Could be doing things with other people as well this day on Friday. It's kind of, the way I'm seeing this is, like a group of friends, a group of people, or just others, like riding together in a car to go do something. Like that's what I see, because Libra deals with relationships, and this energy is about like alliances and partnerships. But when it comes to you personally, this could just be you finding by you being emotionally eclectic and open and seeing things from different angles. With this moon being in Aquarius, you can find a better way to correct things with Mars being in Libra, right? To bring in more harmony or peace, or find a diplomatic way to do something, or a better way to do something, or just feel the emotional motivation behind you. So, but then Uranus does go retrograde this day. So remember, Uranus direct was looking for that next big breakthrough in our lives. And Gemini rules ideas, curiosity, things that are invigorating, enlivening. So we were kind of, Uranus has been encouraging us to, while it was direct, to, the next big breakthrough in your life, follow your curiosity, follow these new ideas, even if it feels crazy, because Uranus is the Fool card in tarot. So you may feel like a fool, right? Because you're doing a whole new experience, and any new experience you go to is technically like the Fool card. So But now, since it's retrograde, now this is bringing the review inward of ideas and what is the next big breakthrough. And this can bring instability in your life a bit, right? It kind of brings that internal pressure with it being retrograde of, all right, I need to figure this out. Like, I need to review things, look at things. What is the next big breakthrough for me? How do I need to shift and change things? But it's more so inward. It's more so inward. All right, let's go to the next day, the 6th. Well, really this day we have the moon sextile Chiron, the moon that will enter into Pisces, and the moon square Uranus. So the moon's going to be in Aquarius, it's going to sextile that Chiron in Aries. Chiron in Aries, Chiron is the wounded healer. It's the wounds that we're healing at this time. It's the pain that's our medicine. In Aries, it brings up things in regards to our drive, self-determination, our courage, our strength, our bravery, our independence, our identity, our sense of self. So Chiron being here is like we're healing things around that stuff. But with this moon that's sextiling Chiron, it's like we can heal that through, with the moon being in Aquarius, we can start to heal those wounds through, again, like Aquarius energy to me is about being inventive, innovative. Also, Aquarius deals with groups and collectives. And groups, the collective, community, service. So we can heal by emotionally doing those things with the moon being in Aquarius. And also just, Aquarius rules innovation, right? It's about being eclectic. Let's emotionally allow ourselves to lean toward being more eclectic and trying new things, and to help us get a better understanding of our sense of self, how we can be more confident, how we can be more self-determined, how we can be more ambitious, how we can gain more strength, determination. It's going to bring up that Chiron energy, though. It's going to bring up the wounds of things, but it's like you don't have to do it all alone. There's people with the moon being in Aquarius. There's community. There's things out there. But that moon will come into Pisces, and it's going to square Uranus. So this is the first time I experienced this transit, y'all. I remember specifically I was at a park. I was at a park. I think I was hiking. I was on a trail, and I went into this spot. It's quiet, and I was just meditating, right? I was just thinking. And then this group of people, they were so loud. And I remember it too. It was the moon square Uranus. It was the moon in Pisces square Uranus in Gemini. And I was like, of course, this is so moon in Pisces. Like moon in Pisces, I just want to just zen out, fucking meditate, and fucking relax and chill. And fucking just see what the divine is saying and what my awareness is deepening into. And then the Uranus and Gemini energy comes through. It's like all this chaotic yelling, laughing, screaming. I'm like, oh my God. So basically I left and I went to another place. But that's sort of this moon square Uranus and Gemini. It's the moon in Pisces is very sensitive. It's about more so, going with the flow, more so allowing yourself to be intuitive while you navigate things, and you become a little bit more receptive to things, so it heightens your awareness. And that square to Uranus could be information, communication, this things that just disrupt your zen in a way. So again, but you can adjust to it. It's just more so like unexpected information, communication with Uranus being in Gemini, or this could be YouTube feeling restless, searching for truth or searching for stimulation. I've caught myself scrolling a lot with this fucking transit, where I'll just be doom scrolling. Don't doom scroll with moon squared Uranus and Gemini. Moon in Pisces square Uranus and Gemini is the definition of doom scrolling. You're looking for that fucking dopamine hit of Uranus and Gemini. It's the constant stimulation. It's about understanding what trance you're falling into with that moon in Pisces, and just not falling for that. I'm not saying that's exactly what's going to happen for all y'all, but y'all get what I'm saying. Y'all get my example, right? Right. But yeah, it can just disrupt things a little bit. It can be kind of annoying too. It's a very sensitive energy. So it's like somebody could say something to you, and it's like you emotionally get took by it, or you can say something to someone and they get emotionally took away by it, or something triggers you. It's kind of sensitive. No shade to the Pisces. All right. September 7th, the big lunar eclipse. Here it is. This moon at 15 degrees of Pisces. Wow, exactly. The sun at 15 degrees Virgo. Here goes the lunar eclipse. Now, before we get to the lunar eclipse, this moon this day will oppose Mercury. Of course, it's going to conjunct the North Node. It's going to trine Jupiter. So before we even get to the lunar eclipse, we're pretty much already there this day, but it's not exact. But this moon in Pisces will oppose that Mercury in Virgo. So it's like our intuitive emotions are at odds with our practical way of thinking. And so this is about balancing spirituality and practicality, emotionally allowing yourself to adjust intuitively based off what practically is going on. It can bring a bit of a confusion. It's like your mind with Mercury being in Virgo is very much dialed into being practical. But that moon in Pisces is like your emotions are saying another thing. So listen to your intuition. It's about balancing both. Balancing the mind when it comes to being practical and emotionally intuitive. So it's not about being at one extreme or the other. It's about finding balance. It's like listening to your intuition, but also being practical and having to find that balance here. But then we go to the lunar eclipse in Pisces, and here it is, this moon at 15 degrees. And here goes that Jupiter at 19. Now, Jupiter here at 19 degrees, it's still trying the North Node, right? It's starting to come off that North Node, but it's still a degree, a half a degree, a little bit more than half a degree. So now it's still trying that North Node. So what I said in the very beginning of the video, like this lunar eclipse is about, in my opinion, this is about illusions being dissolved, and in that dissolution, new truths are emerging. And these new truths that are emerging is showing you the bigger, larger spiritual picture of things. With this Jupiter being here, with that trine to the North Node, with the eclipse. And that Jupiter in Cancer, it's about expanding into a space in your life that offers you comfort, stability, security, things that are going to enhance your personal world, personal life, things that are going to help you mature and grow emotionally. And because it's aspecting the nodes, the North Node deals with the future, and Pisces is the ideal future. And so there's a lesson here, a bigger spiritual lesson that is being shown to you, and that's being revealed to you about where the future is and where it's going for you. But with that sun being in the South Node in Virgo, it's like we're anchored in the past still. So it's like we still got to tie up things. We still got to adjust things. We got to work things out. We got to clean things up. It's kind of like a preview to a movie, but the movie ain't out yet, right? It's like the movie's still in production. South Node in Virgo. And then eventually that moon will trine Jupiter, and so there'll be this positive emotional feeling about the future. And I would say because Jupiter does give that grace, specifically with being in Cancer, it gives that emotional grace, that emotional optimism, that emotional positivity, that emotional encouragement, compassion, love, empathy. That emotionally, it's this, okay, I can, it is this sort of acceptance of the changes that are happening with this eclipse. And the acceptance of like, okay, well, there's this, I do understand the future and where it's going. This is very interesting too, because the Saturn now in Pisces, Saturn's retrograded back into Pisces, and so this is also going to activate that Saturn in Pisces. It's where there's a kind of there's a spiritual lesson being learned here. And what I've come to notice with Saturn is that when Saturn's when Saturn's retrograde, the defenses toward being able to control things externally are more weakened, but the inner resilience and strength is heightened. So it's like you can deal with the changes here. You will be okay with whatever happens or whatever changes are going on. You'll be able to get through it. The test here with Saturn and Pisces is to yield, understand through deepening your awareness, and trusting the divine's orchestration of things, and not being, you gotta let go of control. And also too, because it's Pisces, Neptune is being activated as well, because that's the ruling planet of Pisces. Also, so is Jupiter, and Jupiter's in the mix here. This is like a big call back home, to yourself, and spiritually becoming more sound. And that Neptune being here in retrograde in Aries, that's also being activated with this eclipse. This is also adding in the flavor of like letting that old part of your ego dissolve. Like, you're not who you once were. I think this eclipse can really bring a lot of maturity, or make you see how much you have matured, or maybe also make you see how much other people have matured. I'm channeling this right now, but that makes sense. Jupiter deals with growth, and Cancer deals with the mature emotions. And Pisces, Saturn energy, Moon energy, this is about the deepening of awareness and deepening of knowledge and the spiritual understandings of things. So, again, this eclipse to me is illusions being dissolved, and through the dissolution of what those were, new truths are emerging. And it's bringing in change that possibly you don't expect, or maybe you do expect. But change is happening, regardless. Let's go to the last day here. I like this eclipse, in my opinion. This eclipse also as well will in conjunct this Venus and Leo. So that's if there's an in conjunction. Oh no, never mind. I thought there was a semi-square. So this is going to in conjunct this Venus and Leo. So this is about bringing more into focus, your own heart's happiness and who you are as an individual. And how you want to create from that space of the heart moving forward, and how you want to connect from that space of the heart moving forward when it comes to relationships. All right, let's go to the last day here, September 8th. This Monday, September 8th, I really like this day. because this moon's gonna come into Aries. I'm actually gonna make this. I'm gonna put this moon in Aries, because right now, hold on, let me see. I love Aries energy. I would say like, because I'm a Leo, I think Aries is like the one fire sign that's like can fucking light me up. I don't know about Sagittarius. I've never had it with the Sagittarius. They're fun, they're cool, but like Aries energy, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go. But this moon will be in Aries, and so it's coming out of that dreamy energy of Pisces, and it's like now this moon in Aries is like our emotions is very Aries, so it's very self-determined, it's ready to go. This moon's going to come into Aries, it's going to conjunct Neptune, it's going to sextile Uranus, it's going to sextile Pluto. So talk about transformation happening here. And like, you have to remember, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto are the trans-Saturnian planets. These planets deal with more so of divine orchestrations of things, divine assistance. This is transpersonal psychology, transpersonal development, spiritual development. And so when this moon comes into Aries right off this eclipse, it's going to conjunct Neptune. And so there's going to be this spiritual download, more so internally because Neptune is retrograde, of an emotional sort of charge of, okay, I'm getting this deeper, I'm understanding this deeper ideal of who I am, and I'm letting go of this old sense of self, or this old reality, or this old attachment to something, is what I pick up intuitively with this. And this moon that's going to sextile Pluto, or it's going to sextile Uranus and then sextile Pluto, so there's this excitement. Uranus is retrograde now, so there's this pull to, all right, let's actually start to shift and change things here personally, inwardly. Like, let's break free from doing things the same way we've always done them. Every time I've noticed when there's Uranus transits, whether it's a sextile, trine, conjunction, I guarantee you're going to be doing something different on that day that is out of your ordinary. Like, one way it could show up is, if you always went to Whole Foods, you'll go to Sprouts. If you've always shopped at Walmart, you'll go to Target. If you've always bought the color black, you'll buy the color red. Like, it's just when you're willing to experiment. And then with this moon sextile Pluto here, but yeah, you can, like, I mean, it always brings excitement and some type of shift, unexpected. But because it's a harmonious aspect, it's not chaotic. It's just a difference of experience. But this moon that's going to sextile this Pluto in Aquarius can also bring like a deep focus and concentration on what really needs to be transformed, and how we can have these breakthroughs and unshackle ourselves internally from, old, outdated ways of doing things. So, I really like Monday. These bigger, deeper, transformative changes happening. So, that is what I got for this week. We went a little bit longer, but that's all right. There's a lot to cover. Anyways, I'm wishing you all a great lunar eclipse in Pisces. Remember that there's a bigger picture here unfolding that's giving you a glimpse of the future. And this is your time to have trust and faith in that new future while you're tying up sort of past energy. And whatever is being dissolved, it's through the dissolution that new truth will emerge. And that's going to point the way for the future. So, thank you all for watching. I want to encourage you all to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. If you like the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you want to book a personal reading with me, that link will be down below in the description. And otherwise than that, I'm wishing you all the best, and I will see you later. I think Neo wants to say bye too. Say bye, baby. Anyways, y'all can see him. All right, y'all. I appreciate everyone. I'm gonna say bye, Neo.